Hello everybody. Today's first review is going to be of Dune 2 from, I think, what was it? I guess, was it a couple years ago now? Or was it last? No, I guess it was a couple years ago now, wasn't it? If I'm remembering correctly. The first one was 2021, and then I believe the second one was in 2024, I want to say. Yeah, I do believe. I do believe. Anyway, phenomenal movie. Another 10 out of 10 movie. These movies just do such a great job with such a low budget and just proving that, you don't need like a multi-million dollar budget to make a good film. I feel like both these movies have really proven that with the way they do the special effects and stuff is just so cool. And yeah, Denis Villeneuve is just a phenomenal director, and I can't wait for part three, which I do believe is coming out this December or somewhere around that time anyway. But we'll go over the cast list first. Timothy Chalamet, who plays Paul Atreides. Zendaya, who played Shawnee. Was it? Yeah, I believe it was Chani. Rebecca Ferguson, who was Jessica, who was Paul's mother. Javier Bardem, who played Stilgar. Josh Brolin, who played Gurney Halleck. Austin Butler, who played Fade Rotha. Florence Pugh, who played Princess Urunla. Dave Bautista, who played Beast Raban, yes. Christopher Walken, who was the Emperor, who I was totally taken back by the first time I watched this movie. I was like, oh my god, that's who they got to play the Emperor? Like, usually I'm used to him in like a bit more of a, I guess kind of like a comedic role, but he killed it in this film for that part. Lee Sadu, who played Lady Margaret Fenring. Stellan Skarsgård, who played Baron Harkonnen. Charlotte Rampling, who played Reverend Mother Mohame. And then Anna Taylor-Joy, who wasn't even actually like credited, or like she was an uncredited part in the film, but I feel like that's kind of crazy because seeing as she's probably going to be a pretty big part of the third movie. She played Aaliyah Atreides. And so both these films have always started out with like a quote at the beginning, and I can't remember if I did this for the first movie or not, but in this one it says power over spice is power over all. So that's essentially what this war is all about. Like, spice pretty much runs the entire galaxy, as we learned from the first movie, and if you own the spice fields, you pretty much own everybody, right? Because you can control, you can kind of control everybody else. And of course the Atreides family was getting pretty powerful. They were obviously running the spice fields, right? Like mining the spice, running the spice, whatever, from the first movie. And yeah, they just became so powerful, and eventually other people got a little greedy and decided that they needed to be taken out. So that is what happened, except for, of course, Paul, who ended up living. And so that's why this movie, I gave it a 10 out of 10 if I didn't already say that. But so we're in year 10,191, I do believe is what she says at the very beginning of the film. So the Atreides are wiped out by the Harkonnens, because the Harkonnens, I guess, originally had control of the spice fields, but then, of course, the Atreides moved in, they gained more power, and then eventually they took over from the Harkonnens, and then the Harkonnens wanted it back. So the Emperor put out a hit on the Atreides and got them killed to make sure that the Harkonnens could do his bidding, because I guess obviously he wanted more power, right? So it just makes sense. He was I guess he was afraid that maybe he was going to lose some of his power, so he ended up just kind of taking out the Atreides family in order for him to remain in power, which is kind of crazy because the Harkonnens are not like a nice people. They will pretty much do whatever they can to get themselves into power anyway, which is proven even in this movie. So yeah, it's kind of crazy that he sided with the Harkonnens and not the Atreides, who seem like a pretty, reasonable family if you kind of, I guess, aligned within their rules. So I suppose maybe they weren't the most reasonable people, but compared to the Harkonnens, they seemed pretty harmless anyway. So yeah, the Harkonnens are hunting down the Fremen, who Paul Atreides has joined. And of course, they don't know that at this point, that he's even, you know, that he's even a thought of being alive, right? Like, they think they've killed the entire bloodline. But also, Jessica is pregnant with his sister. So, yeah, definitely a crazy thing to be having happening. So he has to kind of protect her and so on and so forth, like out in the desert, right? And of course, Stilgar is very convinced that Paul is like their prophet or whatever. So they're really trying to swing that angle. And of course, Jessica kind of goes along with it eventually, because she's going to be turned into a Reverend Mother, and she already has like the Bene Gesserit powers too. So she is definitely going to become more powerful throughout this movie as it goes along, right? Like, it's kind of crazy. So the Fremen are split. Many are unfortunately like not happy with the fact that Paul won a duel against Jamis, but it was a fair fight. Unfortunately, it seems that Paul can kind of like almost see like every outcome in a sense, like almost in the future, right? Like he can, like his dreams kind of tell him what's going to happen, or his dreams and his visions tell him what's going to happen. But the rest believe that he is the Lisan al Gaib. So like again, like the prophet. So a lot of people are already worshiping him, of course, in the north. And Jessica is going to try to convince the rest of the people that aren't convinced that he's the prophet that he is. And of course, I think she has more power, obviously, after she drinks the water of life. And then she becomes a Reverend Mother, and she slowly convinces the people in the north. And of course, Stilgar, who's a Southerner, already has these beliefs. So it's much easier to convince the Southerners that he's a prophet as opposed to the people of the north, right? But once she's gotten the people of the north on her side, she moves south, and that is what Paul is afraid to do, is move south, because he can see that a holy war is going to be started because of him. He doesn't know why at this point, but he's too scared to go south because of that reason. He doesn't want a war started because of him. He just wants to help the Fremen out. Like, that is his goal at the beginning of the movie. But then obviously, as he starts to kind of, move, and then he runs into Gurney eventually, and then Gurney tells him to like harness his power and use it. Like, why aren't you using your power? Your family had so much power. He shows him all the missiles that were stored for his family to like basically it could wipe out the entire planet, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, why can't I think of the name of the planet? Oh yeah, Arrakis. Oh my god, I don't know why that totally just totally flew my mind. But anyway, yeah, they're on Arakan, which is the capital of northern Arrakis. And yeah, Raban demands control of the whole planet at the very beginning of the movie, or close to the beginning of the movie anyway, right? So yeah, again, they're trying to like hunt all of the Fremen down and kill them. Like, they call them rats, essentially. Like, they don't want them there anymore. And of course, I guess they don't believe that there's anybody in the south of the planet. They think it's uninhabitable. Whether they actually believe that or not, that is what they tell the Emperor closer to the end of the movie. So yeah, I think that was maybe just so that they weren't going to be killed. But the Emperor didn't really care who died and who lived, and obviously neither did Fade Rotha, right? Because he was just trying to get to the throne, and he already had his uncle try to kill him once anyway. So why would he really care if Baron dies, right? Like, it wouldn't be a big deal to him, because then he's just one step closer to gaining the power he wants, and he's definitely already killed his family members before. So yeah, he really has no love lost for anybody in the family at all. It just kind of seems like a power grab against the Harkonnens, like who can reach the top level and kind of stay there for a period of time before somebody else comes after them, right? It's kind of a crazy thing to think about, but that's what happens with them all. So yeah, again, I was right. Where Jessica travels south. Um, Now the Fremen are slowly kind of taking out all of the Harkonnen ships. They're taking out like the ships that go out and extract the spice, and then they also end up attacking one of the Fremen's spice depots, wiping out 80% of the Harkonnens' last crop. Um, so right after that, I do believe this is when the Bene Gesserit, yeah, the Bene Gesserit find out about Paul's. Obviously, they find out that Paul's still living, right? So now they have an even bigger goal. So they're going to try to get Fade Rotha to take his spot, right? That was their whole thing because they're afraid that Paul's gaining too much power. And then, of course, after Jessica had drank the water of life, she tells him that he has to. And then she tries everything she can to get him to go south. He doesn't want to do that. Eventually, he has pretty much no choice. He does eventually travel south, drinking the water of life, finding out that that his mother was Baron Harkonnen's daughter, so he is also Harkonnen. So he decides that he's going to act in that same way, and just charges in and basically says that nobody can challenge him, that he's seen all this stuff, and the people just bow to him and follow him into like this promised land. Like he offers them, he pretty much says to them that he can lead them to the promised land, right? Which is absolutely crazy because you would think that you would think that somebody would challenge him. Of course, Chani doesn't want to follow him anymore at this point because he's kind of like made his, I guess, he's kind of set his path. He's going to lead everybody into this crazy war. And of course, at the same time, Baron Harkonnen is called on all the houses to say that the Emperor has betrayed them by killing the Atreides family. So he's like double crossed the Emperor at this point. And so I don't think that's why I think that would be why the Emperor had little to no care that Paul just kind of walked in and killed him. And of course, the Emperor picks Fade as his champion, right, to fight for him. And Fade almost wins, like almost kills Paul. But again, Paul is able to see every outcome, sort of thing. So he's able to like pull out the other knife and stab him. And of course, I guess they're cousins technically because they're both part of they're both part of the Harkonnen family, without even really knowing it. I guess technically, Paul would still have, he would be an Atreides, but he would still have Harkonnen blood if his mother had Harkonnen blood, right? Which is absolutely maddening to find out. Like the first time I watched this film and I found out that he was part Harkonnen, I'm like, holy crap, that is going to be a big switch for this character. And like I said, I believe I said in the first movie, like my review for the first movie, I do believe that I said that his costume got a lot darker throughout this movie, but also his character got much darker in this movie. And after he drank the water of life and he had like the blue eyes and all of that stuff, it was just like, yeah, he was a totally different man at that point. But the costume definitely got a lot darker as the movie goes on. And just watching him lead that army into battle, and the scene with the worms at the very end where, yeah, it was just absolutely epic, that whole battle scene. Now, I will say the first one had a lot more politics in it. Not to say that this one didn't, like, wasn't sort of somewhat politically driven, but it did have a lot more action in it. So I can see why some people obviously enjoy. Sorry, socks caught my toenail. Um, I can see why some people obviously enjoy this movie more than the first one, but if you really just immerse yourself in the story, these movies are both great. They both have their action scenes, and that's not really, like, the movie is more for the story, right, than anything else, I would say. And the story is phenomenal. Just watching Paul, like, become, like, not just an Atreides, but then become partly Fremen, and then finding out he's Harkonnen, and then finally using his power, like Gurney told him to lead everybody into, like, battle, and now starting this holy war. Now, I know the third movie changed titles a few times. I think it was Dune Messiah was the original title, so now it's just Dune Part 3. So I'm interested to find out if we're going to get, like, a Part 4, because this says it's the epic conclusion, but I kind of feel like there's potentially more they could tell with the story, because it's a big story, right? Like that they cut out a lot of the political stuff in the first movie, obviously, because that probably would have been like a 6 hour film if they had have not done that. But yeah, it just feels like there might even be more to tell. Oh my god, I stuttered there. It does feel like there might be more to tell even after the third movie, so we'll see. But yeah, where was I there? Oh yeah, Paul decides that he's going to take the Emperor's daughter's hand in marriage too. I think that was one of the things that he was told he should do to kind of like bring the families closer together. And of course, Jessica is all for it, and of course, the rest of the obviously the Ben Gesserit is like against it, and kind of saying that there really wasn't supposed to be any sides. There's just supposed to be, I guess, the Ben Gesserit is supposed to kind of control everything, but now it seems that they're kind of slowly losing power and Paul is gaining it even over them. Like he's even able to use the voice on the Ben Gesserit at one point in the final scenes, and it's just like, okay, well, if he has this much power, like she calls him an abomination right off the hop when he's able to even throw her off her, like when he's able to use the voice on her and throw her almost off her feet. It was kind of crazy. Like she's like, "Oh my god, you've become so powerful. Like, did we pick the wrong person um, in the beginning, right?" Now, I don't think Fade Rotha is necessarily the best choice, but they think that he can be more easily controlled than Paul, so that is why they chose him, right? Now, obviously, they're going to control him through different means, but yeah, it's just a very much kind of who they can control and who they, if they can control them, they can keep them in check when they're moving up in the power rankings, sort of thing, which is just absolutely maddening because you shouldn't be able to control anybody in that sort of way. But that is basically what the Ben Gesserit try to do throughout this entire movie. Um, Now I know that Paul makes an offer to the Great Houses and the Great Houses refuse. So obviously now Paul is going to go to war with all of the Great Houses. Now, does he have a big enough army with the Fremen in order to take out the Great Houses? I don't know. We'll see. It kind of feels like there's a lot more Fremen than just what we've seen because the whole planet is covered in them. So who knows what's going to happen, because Chani does go back. I believe she's going back north to her people. So how many more people does she have? And like, and everybody kind of seems to have come from like uh, a different place. So there's got to be several more Fremen uh, out there that we just haven't seen yet. But yeah, an absolutely epic movie, and the musical scores are perfect for this movie because they only happen during the really big moments, like when Paul learns to ride the worm, obviously the battle scenes at the end. Just like the most epic moments in this movie are when the music really kicks in and it makes you feel that scene even more powerfully than it should have been originally. Like if it had no music, it would still be a powerful scene, but when the music kicks in, just it makes that scene so much more epic. And uh, the visual effects and the like, I don't know if they used maybe some practical effects in this movie, but yeah, the visual effects for such a low budget and them making back like almost, I don't know, them making back their money and then some on these movies is just like a testament to the fact that like you don't really need like a super high end CGI VFX type stuff to make a good movie. You just don't. Like if they can do it with these ones and these ones are so well received, why can't they do that with some of the bigger movies like the Marvel movies or the DC movies? Like it just feels like they almost try too hard on those movies, and I get it because they're competing, but at the same time, maybe this is kind of like a take notes sort of thing. You can work with a lower budget and make possibly potentially more money than you could on a higher budget with some pretty poor CGI. Yeah, because I do feel like a lot of the newer movies go back in and try to fix stuff and touch stuff up, and I'm like, just leave it the way it was. Like if it's a little flubbed up, like we might notice it, but yeah. At the end of the day, the movie is the movie. I don't know why we're trying to go back in and change so many things to make it like perfect in the eyes you know, the one person that created it who might not even go and watch it themselves, right? Because you should be doing your movies for the fans, and I feel like the Dune movies have definitely done that. So yeah, but that's it for this review. I will see you guys the next one. Bye bye for now.